Welcome to English Easy Hub. Join us as we ignite the flames of your English learning journey together.
Please subscribe to watch and embark on your English learning journey. Don't miss out on the exciting content. In this conversation, Andy, a dedicated English learner, seeks guidance from his professor on enhancing his spoken English to sound more natural and emotionally expressive. Beyond mere fluency, Andy wants to infuse his words with authenticity, confidence, and engagement. The professor offers valuable insights, focusing on techniques that incorporate intonation, rhythm, storytelling, and emotional shadowing to help Andy not only practice effectively, but also connect deeply with the language.
Hi, Professor. I've been thinking a lot about my English speaking skills. I really want to improve, and I don't just want to speak accurately, I want to speak with feeling, like native speakers. I want my words to feel real and connected. How can I practice this quickly and effectively?
That's a fantastic goal, Andy. Speaking with emotion and authenticity is something even advanced learners struggle with. It's not only about the right words, but also about the right delivery. To start, I'd say building a strong foundation in pronunciation and rhythm is essential. When we sound closer to natural English rhythm and intonation, we can more easily express emotion. But tell me, what kind of feeling do you want to convey in your speech? Is it confidence, warmth, or maybe excitement?
I guess, all of those. But especially, I want to sound more confident and engaging. When I listen to native speakers, they just have this energy that makes every word feel important. I want to capture that somehow.
Great observation. One part of capturing that energy is about mastering intonation, the way your pitch rises and falls as you speak. Think of it like musical notes. English has its own rhythm and melody. Try listening to short clips of native speakers and mimicking the pitch and tone. Not the words, just the sound. By doing this, you start tuning into the natural rise and fall of the language.
So it's like listening beyond the words themselves? Just focusing on the melody?
Exactly. Once you're familiar with that melody, you can start layering in emotion. Let's say you want to sound excited. Practice saying simple sentences with that emotion in mind, like, I just found this amazing book. Feel the emotion and let it come through your voice. Do this regularly, even if you're just practicing by yourself.
Interesting. I can definitely try that. What about body language? Does it matter when I'm practicing alone?
Absolutely, Andy. Body language and facial expressions are incredibly powerful tools, even when you're practicing by yourself. When we move and express physically, our voices naturally pick up more of our feelings. For instance, if you're practicing a happy tone, try smiling as you speak. If you want to sound serious, focus and keep your body still. Small gestures can make a big difference.
That's a new way of thinking about it. Sometimes I feel a bit stiff when I'm speaking, maybe because I'm too focused on getting it right.
That's common. Focusing too much on correctness can actually take away from authenticity. Here's another tip. Practice speaking in character. Choose a personality. Maybe you're an excited sports commentator or a calm teacher explaining something, and speak in that role. It's a playful way to bring out different tones and emotions without feeling too self-conscious.
So it's like acting in English? I'd never thought of that. I could even record myself and see if I sound convincing.
Exactly, recording is a great idea. By listening back, you can identify areas to improve, like pacing, volume, and tone. You'll also be able to spot moments where you sound genuine and others where you might seem too tense or robotic. But remember, don't be too critical of yourself. Focus on small improvements.
That makes sense. I think part of my hesitation comes from not wanting to sound fake when I speak. Sometimes when I try to use more intonation, it feels exaggerated.
I understand, but think of it this way. In English, a bit of exaggeration often sounds natural. Native speakers use expressive intonation to emphasize important points or show enthusiasm. It may feel unnatural at first, but over time, you'll find a balance that feels both genuine and expressive. It's all about gradually increasing your comfort level.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. So, just to recap, I should work on imitating the rhythm and melody of native speech, use body language even when practicing alone, try role-playing different personalities, and record myself. Is there anything else?
Great summary. Here's one more exercise. Read aloud with emotion. Pick a book, script, or article and read it out loud as if you're performing. Focus on expressing the emotions of the text. You might try a dramatic scene or even a poem. These are rich in emotion and can be wonderful for practicing expressive reading.
That's a creative idea. I've never tried reading a script with emotion before. I usually just focus on pronunciation.
Yes, exactly. Pronunciation is only part of it. By adding emotion, you're not just practicing how to say something, but also why you're saying it. Understanding the meaning and intent behind the words will naturally help you convey more feeling. Remember, the more you practice this way, the more fluent and confident you'll become.
Thanks, Professor. I feel like I have a lot to work with now. I'll definitely try these techniques and let you know how it goes. This really feels like the start of a new approach for me.
I'm glad to hear that, Andy. Remember to be patient with yourself and enjoy the process. Language learning, especially expressive speaking, is as much about enjoying the experience as it is about skill building. Looking forward to seeing how these tips work for you.
Professor, I just had another thought. When I'm practicing by myself, I sometimes find it hard to stay motivated, especially when it feels repetitive. Do you have any ideas on how I can keep things interesting so I don't lose momentum?
I completely understand, Andy. Practicing alone can feel monotonous at times, so it's a good idea to bring variety into your routine. One powerful way to do that is to create a speaking journal. Each day, choose a different topic and record yourself speaking about it for a few minutes. Make it personal. Talk about your thoughts, dreams, or even something that happened to you that day. This can help you stay engaged and make the practice feel fresh.
That's a great idea. I can definitely try that. And, I guess if I keep the recordings, I could also go back and listen to my progress over time?
Exactly. Listening to old recordings is a fantastic way to track your improvement. It's motivating to hear how far you've come, especially when you realize you're speaking with more confidence and expressiveness. Another benefit of a speaking journal is that it builds a habit of thinking in English. When you focus on your own experiences, you don't rely on memorized phrases as much, and that's when true fluency starts to develop.
I like that. It's also less pressure than trying to sound perfect. I can just talk naturally. But what if I don't know what to say? Sometimes I get stuck and end up repeating myself.
That's normal. One way to keep things flowing is by adding a storytelling element. Think of each entry as a story with a beginning, middle, and end. You could describe something small like making breakfast, or something bigger like a recent trip or a memory from your childhood. Storytelling engages your mind and brings out emotions, making it easier to express yourself naturally. Plus, it gives you a reason to use different types of vocabulary and sentence structures.
I love the idea of telling stories. And I think it could help me sound more natural since storytelling often requires varied intonation and expression. But what if my story doesn't sound interesting? I don't want it to feel flat.
That's a valid concern, but remember, it's not about the story itself, it's about how you tell it. Focus on adding details that bring the story to life. Instead of saying, I ate breakfast. Try describing it vividly. I had a warm cup of coffee, and as I took the first sip, I could feel the warmth spreading through me. These sensory details help you connect emotionally with what you're saying. And the more connected you feel, the more engaging your delivery will become.
Oh, that makes sense. I guess even small details can make a story come alive. So if I focus on what I saw, felt, or heard, I'll have more to work with in terms of expression. I think I can do that.
Exactly. You'll find that the more specific you are, the more expressive you become. Here's another idea. Experiment with different moods. Tell the same story in various tones. For instance, tell a simple story about a rainy day once as if you're sad, and another time as if the rain is refreshing and exciting. Playing with different moods in your storytelling will help you develop flexibility in your intonation and delivery.
That sounds challenging, but also fun. It's almost like training myself to use my voice as an instrument. I think it would push me out of my comfort zone too, which is probably a good thing.
Exactly. Pushing your boundaries is where growth happens. When you get comfortable with exploring different emotions and tones, you start building a more dynamic speaking style. Over time, this versatility will make it easier to respond naturally in real conversations, no matter the mood or context.
That's a good point. I've noticed that in real conversations, sometimes I don't know how to respond emotionally. I end up sounding too neutral or even awkward because I'm not sure what intonation to use. How can I work on that?
A great question. Here's a technique. Shadowing conversations. Find videos where people are having natural conversations. Ideally, something engaging like talk shows or interviews. As you listen, try to mirror the speaker's emotions, intonation, and pacing as closely as possible, even if you're just shadowing one sentence at a time. It might feel a bit strange, but it's highly effective. You're essentially training your brain to pick up on emotional cues and respond with the appropriate tone.
I've heard of shadowing but never thought to focus on the emotions in conversations. I always thought it was just about matching the words and sounds. This sounds more advanced.
Yes, emotional shadowing adds a new dimension to it. Matching emotional tone is what makes communication feel real. And the beauty of this exercise is that, as you practice, you're not only developing your ability to imitate, but also improving your emotional sensitivity in English. You'll start picking up on subtle cues that can guide your responses, even when you're speaking spontaneously.
Thank you, Professor. This is really opening my eyes to new ways of learning. I feel excited to practice, and I think these techniques will keep things interesting and challenging. I can't wait to try out everything we talked about.
I'm so glad to hear that, Andy. Enjoy the process, and remember, fluency isn't just about speed, it's about connection. Connect with the language, and it will naturally flow with feeling. Keep me updated on your progress. I'd love to hear how these techniques help you grow.
By the end of their discussion, Andy gains a comprehensive toolkit for speaking practice that goes beyond grammar and vocabulary. Techniques like creating a speaking journal, experimenting with storytelling, and shadowing real-life conversations teach him to convey emotions naturally and authentically. The professor emphasizes that real fluency is about emotional connection and expressive flexibility, helping Andy realize that language learning is about feeling as much as thinking. This approach offers Andy a pathway to fluency that is meaningful, engaging, and transformational, allowing him to live the language rather than simply speak it.
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share to keep the English learning journey alive.